Hello everyone. Today's video is all about using a resist technique on your fabric when you're painting. So we're going to be using ingredients from your kitchen to cook up a lovely smooth paste that we're going to apply to our fabrics. So start with 2 cups of boiling water, put it in a large saucepan and keep it simmering over a medium to low heat. Then in a separate container you want to mix 1 tablespoon of all-purpose wheat flour and 1 tablespoon of corn flour. You can use either only wheat flour or only corn flour if that's all you have, but I prefer to use a mix. You're going to mix these two with 1/4 cup of cold water. You stir it really well to make sure there's no lumps. Then you're going to pour your flour mixture into the simmering water and immediately start stirring. You can either use a whisk or a wooden spoon for this, but whatever you do, do not stop stirring or it will form lumps. Your mixture will take anything from 5 to 10 minutes to thicken. You want it to be the consistency of pouring cream, as you must remember it's still going to thicken quite a bit as it cools. So once you get to this consistency, turn off the heat and then you place some greaseproof baking paper on top of your mixture as it cools. This is going to prevent a skin from forming on top of the mixture. If you don't have greaseproof paper, then you can use a piece of cling film or tin foil, or you just want something that's going to stop that skin from forming. So the first technique we're going to use is like a piping technique. So you're going to place an icing bag or a Ziploc bag into a tall container for support, and then you pour your cooled mixture into the icing bag. Then cut just the very tip off the corner of your icing bag or Ziploc bag, if it's assuming the icing bag doesn't already have a hole in it. Now you're going to draw your designs, words, numbers, or whatever it is you want to write in your fabric. Ensure that your fabric is pre-washed with no fabric softener, as your fabric softener will mess with the absorption. You can also paint the mixture onto your fabric or use a palette knife to apply it. Have fun playing around with some of these techniques. Now you need to wait for this to dry properly and thoroughly. I'm doing my tutorial in the middle of an extremely wet and rainy winter, so it took about 36 hours for the mixture that I'm applying with a piping bag to completely dry. As it's drying, you can see the water wicking into the fabric, so it looks as though you're going to end up with some weird watermark around your design. But don't worry, this is completely normal. It evaporates and doesn't affect your end design. But whatever happens, make sure that the paste is completely dry on the fabric before you start the next step. Your fabric's going to buckle and distort as the design dries. This is completely normal. Another technique is to use stencils. Now for this, your paste is going to go on quite a bit thinner than when you're using a piping bag. I used a palette knife to apply the paste. And your stencils will dry, my stencils anyway, dried in just one night, as the mixture was much thinner on the fabric. And now we get to the really fun part, which is the painting. So I've tried a few different techniques to show you the different effects. The first one I did was using little mini spray bottles. So I mixed 2 parts of acrylic paint with 1 part fabric medium and added some water, enough to ensure that the paint can spray but not too watered down. So once you sprayed it on, you must make sure that your paint isn't sitting in puddles, as this is going to dissolve the flour mixture. So if there are any spots that look really wet or look like they're going to have the danger of being absorbed into the flour mixture, just dab those spots off with a piece of roller towel. I'm using paint over fabric dye, as this technique doesn't work so well for immersion dyeing, where you're actually soaking the fabric in water, as this is going to cause the paste to come off the fabric. I've had great success using fabric dye with a thickener and painting it on just like we're doing here with the acrylic fabric paint. But seeing as how it works equally well with the paint, we're just going to stick with this for this tutorial. Our second stencil we're going to do with a dry paintbrush and acrylic paint straight out of the tube, so there's no water involved in this one at all. This third one, I'm going to use a sponge brush. So I've wet my sponge brush and I mixed the paint mixture with equal parts paint and water. So there's quite a lot of water involved in this particular experiment. Now for the fourth one, I'm using my stencil brush for this one to dab it onto the fabric. So you want to use about 25% water to paint. So it's just to thin it down a little bit. So not as wet as the sponge one that we did before. So we left this to dry overnight. Now we're just going to wash off the paste. Let's see how our prints came out. So far, looking pretty good. Right, I'm just going to get some clean water and give it a good rinse, and then I'll take some photos. Right, next one. So this was done with the piping bag. So it just needs a little bit of water, and then you can peel off the flour paste. So this, I have to say, took a few days to dry. It wasn't as quick to dry as the mandalas from the stencil. Definitely peels off nice and easily. I literally just dipped this into water. I haven't let it soak or anything. So the flour paste is still Nice and firm. Okay, so aside from there where it didn't stick nicely, 2024. I just did that one at the end of the paint, so. Right. Happy New Year! And here you can see how they all turned out. I really hope you have great fun trying out these techniques. If there's any questions or suggestions, please use the comment section below. I read every comment and I love to hear from you. As always, please don't forget to click on the like and subscribe buttons. Every little click goes a long way in terms of building the channel and allowing me to continue to make videos. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.